Hi Aries, welcome to your August 2017 Astro Update. It's Rena here. It is amazing. You have so much energy in the house of falling in love and being creative, and that includes conceiving children and also fun in your life. So this could be a spectacular month. I was going to say epic, but spectacular works too. Month for you, because Leo is a fellow fire sign, and Leo lights your fire because it's very much the same kind of uplifting energy, enlivening, enthusiastic. And then you have all these planets that are going into Leo or will be in Leo, and you're just really stoked, basically. So let me go through some of these transits to explain exactly what I mean. The sun will be in Leo until the 22nd of the month. And so the sun is the giver of life, isn't it? And in your fifth house, it can really make your romantic sector kind of come to life if you've been feeling any kind of a lull in that area. And then on the 22nd, it goes into the sixth house, which is much more serious and has to do with health and your daily routines, your work schedule, whatever it is that you're doing. But for the first few weeks, the sun in the fifth house is like being a big kid, being playful, being creative, and if you are in love, being in love, because if you think about the tarot card, the sun card, it really has those same characteristics, and that's because the sun rules Leo. So what's important to know is that Mars will be in Leo all month long. And this means that your fifth house, with Mars running through it, can see you, even if you're somebody who's athletic, you might just be doubling down in that regard because Mars is very active. But Mars can rule your libido, and the fifth house can rule recreational sex. So you could have a very serious situation where you are in lust for someone, but it's really, I think, because love is going to come into this sector, Venus is going to be there, it's going to be accompanied by something higher than that, and it's the physical attraction for a person. And so that is going to be happening with Venus entering there particularly. Now, Venus enters your fifth house on the 26th, so that's close to the end of the month. Until that time, Venus will be in your fourth house of home and family. And Mars was recently in this sector. So if you had any kind of conflicts with, for instance, family members, especially parents, about something, or if you have been doing renovation on your home, and Mars can indicate the teardown process or the construction process, then Venus is the finished product, the beauty, as well as the harmony restored to your living quarters. But getting back to Mars, I just wanted to say that because the fifth house also represents your creative endeavors, you may be especially creative during this time in a very active way. And also the fifth house rules home business. So you may feel like you really want to create something along those lines. Or if you already have a home business, you may be doing gangbusters in terms of sales. And so you're a busy beaver. But if you are thinking of launching something, I just want to bring up the Mercury Retrograde in August, because it's usually not advised, if you can at all help it, to launch during those 3.5 weeks. Mercury goes retrograde on the 12th of August and will be retrograding until September 5th. Now, it starts in Virgo, which happens to be your 6th house of health, and then goes back into the 5th house in Leo on the 31st of the month. So it's already been in Leo, Mercury, and now it's just going backwards and going back into that sector. And it goes direct when it's in Leo on September 5th. So it will go direct in your 5th house. So for some people with this kind of thing, if you've had any kind of workplace romance, this could be, well, I would say, I shouldn't say anything about romance. I think this could be something more along the lines of negotiating like for instance, people who are telecommuting, they are working on a computer at home. Or if you left a job to be able to do your own thing, then you maybe they call you and say, hey, what about if you work part-time? Maybe you were mad about the hours and you felt that it was too demanding and you decided to do something on your own. So you may be kind of communicating with a workplace of yours and maybe renegotiating your daily schedule in terms of your own business and somebody else's business. And in general, like if you have recently left a job, you may be doing something for yourself at home, but that Mercury retrograde may be like you thinking in terms of your former schedule. Maybe you had to be there at 9 o'clock in the morning, and because you're doing something on your own, you're like, well, I can just start working at 11 o'clock in the morning, but that may not really work out because it may throw off your whole day. So that might be something that you're experimenting with during most of the month of August and even going into September. And when Venus goes into your 5th house of romance, you are going to appear to be very attractive to potential partners. And this can give you that extra little something to be able to attract the person of your dreams in a very mysterious kind of way. They may not be able to put their finger on it, but they find you irresistible nonetheless. It can also indicate the time when you do happen to be falling in love with somebody. There's going to be a full moon in Aquarius, which happens on the 7th of August, but it's actually more than just a typical full moon. It's actually a lunar eclipse. And this in your house of hopes and dreams and friendships, one possibility is that you see it come to fruition, something that you've always wanted. It can be a very exciting time for you during that the beginning of that, at the end of that first week in August. And there could be an ending with a friendship or a group that you belong to. I think for some people, they're going to really think about, are the people around me helping me to advance my dreams, or are they bringing me down with them? That might be something that goes through your mind. And you decide, you know what? These people are not really, they don't have my back. I need people that are dynamic, and especially somebody like an Aries. As a cardinal fire sign, you really resonate well with people who are very active and people who are positive-minded. I think, as a fellow fire sign, as a Sagittarian, I think one of the biggest bummers is being around people who are negative, who are always complaining or who are always feeling like victims, That kind of mentality is certainly not very helpful, but on top of that, it brings other people down. And when you're trying to accomplish great things, you have to have a great environment too. Now, you've already had one new moon in Leo that just happened the other day, from the time I'm recording, of course, and that was on July 23rd, and there's going to be a second new moon, but this time it's a solar eclipse, which is much more powerful. When I mentioned that the full moon was on August 7th, and I corrected myself and said lunar eclipse, it is a full moon, but it's a very powerful full moon. Eclipses tend to be change agents. So whereas the typical new moon and full moon are times for you to be more engaged with it, it's almost like at a higher level, these things come into our lives, swoop into our lives, and kind of do their thing. And we can't really, it's not about us trying to control anything. It's about us trying to cope with the aftermath in terms of going with the flow. And we need this from time to time because sometimes life can give us the illusion that we control everything. And we do control more than we know. And I think Aries people know this inherently. And this is why you are such catalysts in your own right. But, you know, we all need to know that we are people who have to dance between taking initiative as well as accepting when things are beyond our control. And for Aries, that's the key for you, you know, with the lunar eclipse, is to not try to you know, force the universe's hand if something is eclipsed out that's related to the 11th house, but just to kind of accept whatever happens with grace. And the same thing with this new moon, it's something coming in. It's almost like dropping in your lap. It may not be on August 21st. It may be after this. And I would say, especially with the Mercury Retrograde in effect at the time of this new moon and this solar eclipse, to be more exact, is to wait until after the 5th of September, when it's much more likely, I feel, or I sense, that everything starts to kind of take shape, because Mercury retrograde is going to be doing its best, its level best, to kind of make you be looking in the rearview mirror, not thinking ahead, which is what a new moon is all about. So you may, and also just in terms of how events unfold, it may be the case that things get delayed that were supposed to happen at that time. But this is in the area, again, of love, creativity, anything that has to do with fun, with your home business, and you may see all of that really come roaring back, you know, in the second week of September and beyond. So that is very thrilling as well. And this could mean that if you've met somebody, and, you know, of course, I mentioned Venus going into that house a few days after that, 5 days after that, you may meet somebody, and then maybe there's a little bit of a lag time before you start really dating them, but you've already fallen in love perhaps. But here's the thing that I think is so exciting, Aries. You have the North Node in this 5th house for the next 18 months. The North Node is your soul's mission. Now, the transing one is affecting all of us. And it's kind of like the theme of Leo is about your creative self-expression, love really taking front and center in your life. Now, even if you've been married for 30 years, it could be kind of like looking at love in a new way, or having your marriage you have a new phase where you deepen that relationship by really understanding how much that person means to you. And maybe even getting more romantic by showing your partner how much you care. It could have to do with children. If you've always wanted children and for some reason you couldn't conceive, maybe when the North Node is in your 5th house, that will be the time, especially now with this new moon in Leo. So, and of course, sometimes people don't find out about their pregnancy until a couple months later. But the other interesting thing about this is that because you're the first sign of the zodiac, the transiting North Node is actually in the sign that rules that house. So there's kind of like extra emphasis and importance, I would say, for all Aries people to have this particular transit and maybe more potency. So I just think it's wonderful for you, Aries, and I hope that you enjoyed this. And if you'd like a private reading, I do have my natal chart interpretations, which are just pure astrology readings. It's been kind of on a permanent sale, but you can check that out in my other offerings at renamoonastrology.com, and the link is below. Take care of yourselves and good luck. Bye.